Before we get into today's video, I want to give a huge rest in peace, rest in power to Hulk Hogan. Yesterday's news was obviously very shocking to me. As you guys are well aware, I've been a Hulk Hogan fan since I was a little kid. And, you know, just kind of the timing of this with my stepdad going back into the ER for yet another stroke. And then the next day, Hulk Hogan passing away. You know, it's been pretty hard on me mentally. Hulk Hogan was such a big part of my childhood and my teenage years, and I understand, like, people are probably like, well, why does a 40-year-old man care about a professional wrestler so much? But I think it kind of extends beyond that. I made a video on the second channel talking about it yesterday and kind of explaining why some people, you know, got really emotional over that situation. And, you know, there's kind of layers to it. But rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Thank you for, you know, 40 years of memories. But I did want to make a video today because, you know, sometimes I get messages from people saying, you know, your videos help me through a tough time in life to kind of escape. And you know, I feel like I owe it to everyone to keep going and to keep entertaining people. I don't feel like being on camera today. Sorry about that. But I did want to give you guys a video because we do have some interesting stuff to talk about, actually. And it involves the alleged Nintendo Direct that is taking place next week, because now we've got some information coming out about this that's actually pretty interesting. And yesterday I talked about how, you know, there was, you know, kind of proof that there was going to be a direct happening next week, extending from, you know, Nate the Hate talking about it, pretty much doubling down. I believe in Nate more so than I believe in a lot of people on the internet. And then, of course, the fact that Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment just got a rating in the Brazilian ratings board. And I felt like the timing of all of that sort of stuff was definitely indicative of a Nintendo Direct happening sooner rather than later, because obviously that game needs a release date. Well, now we have even more sort of proof about there being a Nintendo Direct next week and some of the things that may be involved in this as well. And it's pretty interesting stuff. Like, if all of this comes to fruition, I think we're in for a very interesting and exciting Nintendo Direct presentation. So the first thing I want to talk about involves Metroid Prime 4, which is a game that has been, you know, we've been waiting for this game for quite a while. It is a Switch 1 and a Switch 2 game. I think the Switch 2 version is going to be the superior version of the game. But this was something that doesn't have a release date, much like just about every first-party Nintendo game beyond the stuff that's already come out in Drag X Drive, Ricky Berwick Basketball. But now, kind of piggybacking off of what happened with Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, a rating has been spotted for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Now, this is coming to us from the Koreans ratings board. It was originally filed on the 10th of July, but was only published today. So I know that doesn't mean a lot to some people. And, you know, oh, it's just a rating. It could be coming out, you know, whenever, this, that, and the other. But you have to think that the timing of this is very interesting. That Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment gets a rating in a region in Brazil. And then now we have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond getting a rating in South Korea, which of course is, you know, this isn't something that's just like speculation. This is actually happening. And when you start to see ratings of a game pop up, that means that the game release is imminent. Like, it's coming sooner rather than later. You know, don't worry about any sort of crazy delay. So I think that this is yet another sign that this will be a game that is talked about, showcased, and given a release date during next week's Nintendo Direct presentation. So, I mean, it does line up. You know, you need games for, you know, beyond Drag X Drive. So having Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, having Metroid Prime 4 Beyond get release dates at the next Nintendo Direct, I think is something that a lot of people were expecting. And now to have these essentially breadcrumbs that become crumb cake I guess it's cake crumbs that become crumb cake. But these crumbs that become crumb cake, I can't even talk right now. I think it shows, kind of paints a bigger picture. I hope this game, I would like this game before. This is honestly, out of everything that's been talked about, you know, Pokemon Legends, ZA, Hyrule Warriors, Age of Imprisonment, Kirby Air Riders, and Metroid Prime 4. If these are the only 4 games that come out this holiday season for the Switch 2 that are first-party games, Metroid Prime 4 is definitely my most anticipated. So I hope that one comes out sooner rather than later. But do you need more sort of proof that something is indeed happening? Well, this might be something you want to hitch your wagon to as well, because there was talks that happened between Chris Dring, who is the writer for the Games Business, who we've talked about before on this channel. He's kind of a polarizing figure. I don't really like his attitude when it comes to covering game stuff. He seems, I don't know, a little bit pompous, and he's been wrong about some things as well. But he seems to be, you know, like getting steam in certain circles and stuff like that, mostly on the reporting of sales in regions. He lives in the UK, I believe, and he always reports on UK sales, physical game sales. He's kind of like Matt Piscatella is in the States from Circana and PD, in reporting, you know, games sold and physical games sold and system units sold and all sorts of stuff like that. So he's kind of been doing stuff with Matt Piscatella, and they did like this post breakdown sort of thing. And in this thing, Chris Dring said that Xbox is expected to announce more game ports to other platforms, including Nintendo Switch 2 and PS5 in the coming weeks. And I once again, I think the timing of this is very interesting, because, you know, we're all sort of expecting this Nintendo Direct to happen next week based on information from Nate the Hate, based on, you know, these ratings boards things. And now we have another source saying that Xbox is planning on doing Switch 2 games, and we know that that's going to happen. Like, we already know that Xbox games are coming to the Switch 2. Hell, Tony Hawk 3 and 4 just came out on the Switch 2. That's an Xbox game. And that was a hell of a port, honestly. Day and date port. And there are a large library of Xbox games that I think would do pretty decently on the Switch 2 that kind of fill roles and fill niches of things that don't exist. There's not a game like Starfield, whether you like Starfield or not, on the Switch 2. Like, there's not. There's not a game like Forza Horizon 5 on the Switch 2. There's not a game like Forza Motorsport on the Switch 2, which, I mean, they dismantled Turn 10, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. You know, Halo Infinite even, Sea of Thieves, stuff like that. Like, there are a large library of Xbox games that can end up on the Switch 2, because the Switch 2 is a pretty powerful system in terms of what it can do based on other systems. There's some very impressive ports. WWE 2K25 is arguably the most impressive port, even though it is missing something that the other versions have in terms of a character creation thing. It has something that's not in the other versions. It's absolutely incredible. I still have a video coming on that. I'm waiting on my friend to send me some footage. He's been kind of busy this week, but hopefully he gets it to me today so I can work on it for this weekend. But I think Xbox is in a weird place right now, and they're just putting whatever wherever and hoping to make some money. And they're still going to lay off people anyways, like, regardless, because, you know, they've been making money and they're still letting people go. But you know what? Give me Indiana Jones on the Switch 2, man. Like, I love that game, and I would play through that game on the Switch 2 again just to, you know, see how it looks and see how it runs, because that was my favorite game of 2024, like, bar none. And, you know, with it getting DLC this year, like, yo, that would be pretty cool. You know, just different types of experiences that Nintendo themselves are not ever really going to make because they're not super interested in it. There is an opportunity here for another company such as Xbox to step in, have these games that have already released, you know, some of them are better than others, but fill roles on the Switch 2 that Nintendo themselves aren't interested in filling because they don't need to. So, do I think a Direct is happening next week? Yes. Do I think you're going to get a release date for Metroid Prime 4 and Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment? Yes. Do I think there's going to be some Xbox stuff at this Direct? Yes. 100%. Like, I honestly believe that fully. I think Xbox has been wanting to talk about Switch 2 games, but Nintendo was very selective in the first Nintendo Switch 2 related direct because it was just partners that they've always had, the same partners that they had with the Switch 1 during the direct for that. And then like the second direct for the Switch 1 is when things got crazy and you started seeing all sorts of stuff. And I definitely think that's going to be how the Switch 2 situation is handled in a similar manner. So that's my video for you guys today. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of all of this. Do you expect there to be a direct next week? If so, you know, what are you looking forward to? What are you hoping to see? Do you think Xbox will be there? Because, I mean, they're going to be there. There are, like, you already got Tony Hawk on there. We know Call of Duty's coming. They're going to be wanting to put a lot of stuff on this system. As long as it runs and looks good, I don't even care. I don't even think they care if it runs and looks good, honestly. But they will be bringing some games over, and I expect to see some next week. Let me know what you think of everything in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like, comment, and share. Check out my little memoriam video for Hulk Hogan over on the second channel if you want. If not, that's cool. You know, I understand. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.